people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. If you're there just to fill a slot, people feel that. But if you're there because you genuinely love people and they know that and they feel that, they'll follow you anywhere.
I cannot wait for you to hear this conversation that I had with Jeremy Essary. He has been an incredible leader for over 20 years in the church. He's helped launch locations, he's helped lead locations, but primarily in a portable setting. So I can't wait for you to hear that conversation. And we got a big announcement at the end, so stay tuned. Check it out. Jeremy, it's so good to have you, man. I know our relationship spans so many years, and we've had many of these conversations. I've learned so much from you, and I know it's been you've been on such an incredible ministry journey. So I'm excited to be learning from you today.
Thanks, Philip. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on here, be a part, and just to be your friend. That's my favorite thing, is to be Phil Engel's friend.
Yeah, right. You're so relational. That's what I love about you, and that's one of the questions I've got for you today. So don't get ahead of us. Tell us, a little bit about your history, a little bit about what you've done. I know I set it up a little bit in the intro, but I'd love for them to hear some of the highlights from your perspective in terms of your ministry journey.
Yeah, so I've been in ministry over 20 years. I started in kids ministry, actually, and so that's a whole lot of fun. I
Yeah.
actually didn't even want to get into kids ministry. It was a church plant, and I just said, "Hey, I'll be the janitor." And they said, "Well, how about working in kids?" And I said, "I'll do anything else but work in kids."
You're
And
like, how about the janitor?
yeah, I said, "I would like to be as a janitor behind the scenes." And they're like, "Just pray about it." And of course, pray about it. I mean, God's going to be like, "No, don't work with kids." So I did kids ministry for just over 6 years. And
Wow.
after serving in kids ministry, I loved it. I actually learned the Bible alongside our kiddos and
Wow.
built teams and learned the kids love teenagers more than they love 20 something year olds. And so built teams and really enjoyed it. And then there was an opportunity that came to be a campus pastor, and they said, "Would you consider being a campus pastor?" I said, "No, I love kids ministry, you know." And so they said, "Pray about it." And so we prayed about it and served in campus ministry for 16 years. And so
Wow.
yeah, it was really fun and had a blast doing it, and launched the campus several states away, a multi-site church, and learned a ton.
Yeah, man, I think just right there, I'm gonna stop you. I know there's a lot of people who are watching and they're wondering, where do I get my next campus pastor from? And I'm notorious from saying, look at your directors. Your directors are the perfect pool of people to be able to pull from for your next location pastor, and you're a testament to that. Again,
Mm,
maybe kids director is not always the top spot to be looking for, but we got any kids directors out there wondering what's my next. It might be a campus pastor. So it's really cool how available you were for that. And man, I know you're talking about this multi-site concept, and a significant, knowing your story, a significant part of that is been in a large multi-site church context, and a lot of your campus leadership has been in a portable setting. So I know there's so many tensions that come with that, but I'd love to know, what has that environment taught you about building something sustainable when a lot of it isn't permanent?
yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, I would say multi-site is more fun than permanent. You never know what you're going to get when you show up.
Okay.
And so it keeps it fun and interesting and different every week. And so, it has its pros and cons to each. Obviously,
Sure.
permanence can bring more people, but portable can bring a depth in people easier, is what I
Yeah.
would say, and
Hmm.
a connectivity. And
Yeah,
so,
unpack that.
yeah, portable church forces you to build things that work when everything else doesn't. And so it really, puts you in a place where you might show up on a Sunday and nothing is like you thought it was going to be. And so if you built a great team and have great leaders, it's like, all right, let's roll up our sleeves and figure out what today's going to look like. And
Yeah.
so, I remember some of the fun days of we show up and it's snowing in Atlanta. And you know what? We have to pivot and thank God for great leaders. And you push carts up a hill in the snow and you build fun relationships that way.
Yeah.
I can remember there was a day I was at the school and they let us know, "Hey, over the summer for the next 3 months, you won't be able to have church where you've had church for the last year and a half." And you're like, "All right, we're gonna pivot."
Wow.
And we moved and had church somewhere else, and we're able to have, because we built a great team and had a great system, we just picked it up and put it in a brand new environment, and it worked seamlessly and smooth. And so, you
Wow.
learn things along the way of just like people are resilient. Man, people are, they love great leadership opportunities. And when you have multi-site and moving environment that's not permanent, you have great opportunities just like that.
Yeah. I mean, first what I'm learning from you, like, the smile that came on your face, where some people, if they hear portable, are just like, "Oh, no." Like, there's a smile that comes to your face of, like, it's more fun. Like,
Yeah.
one, you just have to have a heart for being portable. I think that's, a significant piece. I love also how you're using and you're leveraging that portable environment to build something significant. And it's not just we're building a building or you're building a community, this camaraderie when you guys are in the trenches together. And then, um, yeah, it feels like you have to have that massive ability to flex, to adapt, to shift, to, as you said, pivot, man. Um, how do you build that into the culture of the people at the campus so that when something like that, you're out for 3 months, comes, the attitude, the spirit is like, "All right, we're gonna pivot."
Yeah, yeah, I would just say it's built in probably in
Okay.
some ways,
Yeah.
and I've often heard it said it's not about your ability, but your availability, and I
Mm.
would even take that in multi-site world, it's not just about your ability or even your availability, it's about your flexibility, and
Yeah.
we used to say that all the time, "Blessed are the flexible, for they shall not break," and and so, for an S personality like myself, I like things consistent and the same. Like routine is great for me. But
Yeah.
also I love we're going to mix it up today and we're going to do the same thing just in a different way. And that actually builds culture. Like that builds an expectation. Like we're going to show up. We don't really know what the starting point's going to be, but we always know what the end point's going to be, which is change lives. And that's why we do all of what we do. So I would even say set up and tear down. It's not, you know, it's it could be a challenge, I'll put it that way. But at the
Sure.
same time, it can build in a heart of servanthood in the culture that is rare to get outside of the tear down environment without a
Yeah.
lot of intentionality.
Yeah, I like that. You're seeing what could be or seen by others as a hurdle or a barrier, and you're creating as it a strength of the culture that you're leading. I love that. Okay, so in this portable context, your teams are constantly setting up, they're tearing down, you're adapting, you're teaching them to be flexible, but you're also highly a systematic rhythm guy. What systems or rhythms have you found most effective to create that consistency and excellence in an environment that you don't have complete control of?
Yeah. Yeah. To me, the one word that comes to mind is the word simple.
Mm,
It's kinda like for real estate, it's location, location, location.
yeah,
For clean systems that work over sustainability, it's the word simple, simple, simple. If it's not simple and people can't do it easily, if you can't do it easily, you can't duplicate it. And for me,
yeah,
it was create clear systems that were simple, that a 5th grader can do it and show up and have a great time. And so, for me, for a great example of that, it was like setting up our kids' rooms. Uh, we did, we took a picture. We set it up how we want it, and we took a picture. And my favorite books growing up were picture books because I can see it and it spoke 1,000 words. And so we had a picture on the side of the kids' cart, and it was like, wherever we are, whatever we're doing, that's the end result. Let's
mm,
just get there. And so we just had pictures of what we wanted to look like everywhere. And so we did, checklists were good because we had those too. But for me, it was, I want to see it and then I can do it. And a 5th grader can do that. And so for us, it was simple. It was create some ideal world of what you want it to look like via picture, and people can build it.
yeah. Man, you're speaking my language. When we talk about organizational health and leadership, We talk about how we tend to grow. It's just natural that we grow towards this complexity. So we have to do what you're saying is fight for simplicity. How do we keep things simple? Because simple things help us scale quick. And it sounds like same thing with some of these portable environments. I'm sure that different leaders, different times, different volunteers come in over different services, different weeks, and these things just begin to stack up if you're not careful. So to constantly fight for something that's simple. I love it, even as just a picture of the environment that you want it to look like. You've set a standard, and now people can adapt to that. I love that.
It makes me think of when I was in high school, I played football. And for us, like the workouts, I wanted to show up, have the workout plan there. I just show up, do the workout plan. It's already made for me. I can just show up. It's simple, and I can get to what I really wanted to do, which was not just play football, with hang out with friends.
Yeah,
And so it's the same in my mind for church and for setup and teardown. Make Sundays simple operationally so they can be spiritually supercharged. It has been my mindset.
wow, that's great. That's powerful right there. It's
Cool.
it's it's
Easy.
just I call it block and tackle, and I love how you're
Mm.
using a football analogy. I was like, if you understand the block and tackle, all the rest, now you can get real complicated with the plays that you run and all that. But you're leaning even towards this relational side, which tease me up. My next question. I know you are highly systematic, but you're also deeply relational. How have you learned to balance structure and systems with this genuine care for people?
Yeah, for me, well, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And
Oh,
so people feel that. If you're there just to fill a slot, people feel that. But if you're there because you genuinely love people and they know that and they feel that, they'll follow you anywhere and
yeah,
do anything. And so for me, the top priority has always been relationship. And it's not always about what we do, it's about who we do it with, is, kind of a axiom that I've lived by. And so for me, it's people priority number one, but also I know the structure and the system is important. I heard a long time ago a story of they were doing this study on elementary school kids and they let the kids play outside, and there was no boundary markers, and the kids actually clustered really close together. And so then they built a fence in the back area, and the kids felt totally free to run and to roam. And so in my mind, that's a great word picture of how important a system and what the role a system can play. It can build very clear lines, and you can feel free in that area and in the system. And so
yeah,
for me, it's both and it's both ends of the shoestring, systems and people. And when you tie them together, it can really make something incredible. And for me, that's the mindset I've always walked with. It's like I want more for people than from people, but also I know what's best for them sometimes is to get plugged into purpose and to do something meaningful that matters.
yeah.
And oftentimes it's best done in a real clear system.
Wow. Yeah, that's a powerful image because you've got people's gifts and their strengths and their desires and passions and calling, but now you've also got this infrastructure, which I think you could actually exponentially onboard people and release people and equip people because we have the system that goes hand in hand with it.
Mhm.
The thing I've seen along this line is that systems serve the people, people don't serve the systems. And that's when we get that out of order. That's when it feels like bureaucracy. It feels like just even uh, ju- we're just driving them through a process for the sake of the process. When in reality, we know we actually have an end all be all purpose that's much bigger than that system. And that's what I love that you're saying is it's just connecting people with each other, with what God's called them to do. It's powerful when you put those things together.
Yeah.
Man, I just think you're a unique mix though too of like you say you are highly relational, but then you are systematic. Like, did you have to learn one side of those? Were you wired one way and you had to learn the other? What was that journey for you?
Yeah. I really had to learn both, to be honest with you.
Okay.
If if you met me in high school, you would not remember me. I just was not relational. It's true. Like I was the guy where you look back on the yearbook and people are like, "Wait, who is that?" And I genuinely was just a recluse. And honestly, when
Wow.
I got saved, I learned like my mission and purpose was to know God and to make Him known. And it's hard to make Him known if you don't know people. And that purpose drove me to, live a life of others first. And that really opened the door for me, and honestly opened my mind and my life towards I want to be as people oriented as possible because God's people oriented. I know that might seem like really spiritual, but that is what unlocked me. And that's where it all started for me.
Yeah.
And then on the system side, I really had to learn and lean into that. That one, the people side, once I got that revelation, it became more natural. The
Yeah.
system side, I really had to lean in and learn. And I was in some great environments where I got to learn that from other great people, and so that one had to be more developed. The first one had to be a revelation. The second one
Okay.
had to be a little more tribulation. Realize you can't just have organized chaos here.
I love what you're talking about in terms of like you didn't just say, okay, this is how I'm wired, so this is what I'm gonna do, but you actually put time and intention in developing and flexing muscles that you had, but they just weren't necessarily developed yet. Um, it just it's encouraging and it's challenging too to say, okay, I'm not just gonna give up and just say, well, this is who I am. This is how, this is what my disc test tells me, or this is what my Enneagram says, or but I know that there's a specific calling and it's gonna require me to have certain skills, certain tools. Um, so, man, I'm so glad and encouraged by your journey to build those muscles, man.
If I grew in those areas, anyone can grow in those areas.
You make it look easy.
Yeah. Well, 10,000 hours make you at least look like an expert. It's just a lot of practice.
That's right. That's right. It's taken some time. Well, I know, as we're prepping for this even, you said that one of your greatest joys has been developing people. Again, we're just talking about how you're like that came through some revelation, but what does that intentional people development actually look like, to you on a practical level? How do you translate that from concept to reality?
Yeah. Well, the how I think is super important. For me, the why is even more important. The
Yeah.
why behind developing others. And I took some time as we kind of discussed this and really tried to get down to my why before I got into the how. And for me, the why was really a heart of gratitude towards others who developed me.
Um,
And it's easy for me to give to others when so many have given so much to me. And my big why behind developing other people is because there were some really great people who took some really big risk on someone who wasn't quite ready.
mm,
And I was so grateful, and I'm still grateful for so many great people, great leaders who've developed me. And that's my big why. And, who am I to hold that back? And so for me, the big why behind developing others is just a heart of gratitude. Now the how, there's some consistent things and there's some things that are always changing. For me, it starts in prayer. I'm consistently asking God, who should I be praying for today? And God will put different people in my heart at different times and different things. And so for me, it starts in prayer. It starts with God, who's on your heart today that I'm connected to that I can share something with. And so it starts in prayer and then it goes into encouragement. I think we can all use encouragement. If we're not encouraged, we're discouraged, and we can default oftentimes towards discouragement. And I believe one of the greatest things we can do is get in people's corner and encourage them and cheer them on and remind them, that God has a plan for them and that God's using them, and don't get lost in the weeds, and there's greatness still ahead. And for me, it's constantly encouraging others. And the cool thing is when I encourage others, I get encouraged myself. And so
yeah.
I'm always trying to find ways to add value to encourage others. And that looks like shooting a text. I'm up early. I'm texting 8, 10 people before anything else starts. I read my Bible and I'm a text you. And or when someone comes to mind, I'm gonna reach out to them. And so
Yeah.
it's just constantly keeping that. on the forefront. One super practical thing on our phone, there's like the favorites list, and I'm always adding people to my favorites list. Now it's like a lot of people. So I think it's supposed to be like 3 or 4, but I'm constantly putting people in this place of just like, man, I want to keep this person on my prayer list, on my encouragement list, on my connect list. And so I'm just doing everything I can in that area, in that way, to do that. And that builds a heart of gratitude, but it also builds a relationship of trust, and that goes a long way, and influence as at the same
Yeah.
time. And so those are some maybe super practical things.
Yeah.
But I'm under the belief that if I believe in people, then it's gonna result in something super practical, and
Wow.
I need to share that with them. And so
Yeah.
I believe that everybody needs an encouragement. Everybody needs an encouragement for where they are, but also what you see in them. And oftentimes, people saw more in me than I saw in myself, and that's what took me to the next. And if
Yeah.
I'm encouraging people, but also giving them, hey, this is what I see, oftentimes, and that builds this connection and trust and relationship. You see more for them than sometimes they even see for themselves. And I get passionate about developing people and encouraging people and walking with people and helping them get to their next. And so, doing church, putting that in the multi-site model, I never set out to build teams. I just didn't. I
Hmm.
set out to build people, and
Yeah.
built people build people who build teams. And
Yeah.
so for me, as I develop people, I was constantly on the lookout of, man, what do I see in them? Is there some leadership gift? Is there some encouragement gift? Does this person always smile, but they don't see themselves as a greeter yet? Like, I'm always like, what gift did they have? Like you said, what strength did they have? And uh, what opportunities do they don't have that I
Yeah.
can connect them to? And so that's kind of how I've, eventually, I guess, built teams, but I was never set out to build teams. I was
Yeah.
just building people who eventually built teams.
Man, that's so strong because I see that it's not like this highly over, systematized process. It's like it starts with prayer, it follows with encouragement, and then you connect people to opportunity. Like going back to our previous conversation, because you had a system in place, you have leadership layers, and you have a next steps class, and all of those things are there. You're able to actually like drive people towards an appropriate next step, not just for the church's sake, but for their sake. And that's what I think is coming through so strong is your heart for people, your love for people. Um, I've as we were talking, man, I think I'm just so selfish compared to like my favorites list is like this big, this big. I'm like, all right, I gotta love people better. Thank you, Jeremy. I'm learning that. I'm learning that. No, it's a good, honestly, such a good conviction of saying like how much time am I when I think of somebody, when God brings somebody to mind, am I reaching out and send him a voice memo, send him a text? Development doesn't have to be like in this box of structured and lessons and all of that. It's just relational investment as God brings people to mind. So um, well, I'm what I'm about to share, but I wanted people that are listening and watching to get to hear you and hear your heart and hear your experience because God's been doing something incredible over the last few years in our relationship and building connection and time and just God's timing has been perfect that in this next season you're going to be joining us as a coach at Focus 412. And so I'm so encouraged and blessed to have the heart that you just shared, the mix that God has put inside of you of both relational and systems and processes and investment in leaders and church experiences just to unleash on the churches that we get the opportunity and privilege of working with. So, you've got leading in portable environments, building systems, developing people. What do you hope to do with all of that as you go and help other churches grow and thrive? What are you looking forward to most?
Yeah. Well, thanks for the invitation to be on the team, first of all. As
Yeah.
I said earlier, it's not just what you do, it's who you do it with. And man, I'm excited just to learn from you and all that you've brought to so many great churches and helped them grow. And so thank you for the privilege of being on the team. I'm stoked and excited. And as you've taught me already, the best thing I can do is boil all my experiences down to principles.
Mm,
And so I am working. That is my number one focus right now. How to turn what I experience into principles
yeah,
that can
yeah,
transfer and to travel. So for me, one of the exciting things, obviously working for Focus 412, there's, I love the values of who we are as, Focus 412, but also what we offer and what we bring to other churches. I'm under the impression that most churches don't really need more ideas.
yeah,
Like usually there's a lot of really great ideas, and if you don't have one, go to AI. They have really great ideas. But where we can bring benefit and value is just more clear systems and better development. And
mm,
to me, that's my hope that we can come alongside some already really great churches and, from the outside looking in and being a partner with them to really create some clear systems that serve them and the church well, and
yeah,
also help them create a development plan and process to help develop leaders just like we were developed. And so for me, that's the hope that we can create good systems, great systems, and also help develop some great leaders that are already there. So that's
man.
that's my hope and my goal.
Well, it's strong, and I know we've haven't taken this step lightly, and I'm so encouraged by again how you're wired, your experience that you're bringing, and your heart and passion for people. It's going to be a great fit. I'm looking forward to what God's going to do in and through you as you plant here, but then also get scattered to the churches that we get the privilege of working with. All right, last question. We always ask our leaders this. Um, we believe the best development, as you know, and you've already shared with us, happens in the context of relationships. So, who has played a pivotal role in the growth, your growth as a leader? And what's something practical they did to help you grow?
Yeah. Yeah. I have had the opportunity and the privilege of being close to some tremendous leaders. I mean, when I look back over kind of my leadership journey, 20 plus years, actually longer than that, my youth pastor believed in me, invested in me, gave me great opportunities to lead and grow. I mean, there's so many. Some were pastors, some were just mentors and leaders. And I've just done everything I can to get close to them and glean from them. It's hard to say one. I literally probably have over a dozen of great men who've poured into me. And I always say I'm a collaboration of the great men that I've had the
Yeah.
opportunity to be around. For me, the thing that they really didn't really teach me per se, and here's a lesson to learn. But what I gathered as I look back over all that I've learned from so many great leaders, um, they shaped me by giving me opportunities and responsibilities I didn't feel ready
Mm,
for. So not only did they give me a leadership lesson, they trusted me with it.
yeah.
And honestly, that was one of the greatest gifts that I could ever get. Like I said at the beginning, I was given the opportunity to serve in kids ministry. I didn't feel ready for that, but that was leadership development. Right? They gave me an opportunity to be a campus pastor. I didn't feel ready for that. That was leadership development. And for me, it wasn't so much readiness as it was trust. And
Yeah.
trust can be the fuel that gets the car to where it needs to go. And so, again, I'm so grateful. But the development tool wasn't just so much here's the 4 lines and here's the class to go to. It was trust. It was, hey, we see something in you and we're going to give you an opportunity to grow and to develop. And it's okay if you're going to make mistakes because we all do. But giving me that leadership opportunity has been the greatest leadership development tool I think I can, ever get. And so
Yeah.
that would be my encouragement to others. How do you develop leaders? How do you get leaders in the pipeline? I would just say give them an opportunity, even if they might not feel ready for it, but you see it in them, and you never know. You never know what can happen when you give people an opportunity and they step into it. What can happen?
Yeah. That's great because I think What most likely happened in a lot of those scenarios is they didn't just throw you in the deep end and leave you fledgling, to try
Yep.
to or swim or drown, but they're probably right there with you, coaching you along the way and helping you. But yeah, I think when I look about my story too, it's like I wasn't ready, but an opportunity was there. And I love that he trusted. The trust is so strong. It's a belief in us who are, just maybe don't even believe enough in ourselves that we've got it. Um,
Mm.
yeah, that's so good. Well, I hope you feel the empowerment as we step forward into the future, man. I'm so encouraged by you. I'm learning so much from you along the way, and I'm so grateful for just what God has done and bringing us, uniting us, and helping us attack the mission that is ahead to help churches grow. So, thanks for the time today, and I cannot wait to have more coach conversations on the other side now with you into the future. So, thanks for spending some time.
Let's go. Thanks for having me
All right.
on. It's been a blast.
All right. We'll see you soon. Thank you, everybody.